So over the past week, we have seen weakness in the markets with inflation numbers coming up above expectation. And that's where the Fed had come said that they might actually hike rates more aggressively, right? And the market started to sell off, right? So how are the Singapore banks doing? And we're talking about Singapore banks, it'll be these three banks, DBS, UOB and OCBC. How are these banks doing right now? Are we seeing weakness? Have they rebounded? Because of this news. And even if they've rebounded, where are they right now? Whereby we might actually see some selling pressure coming back. Hey guys, Joey here, top tier trader in Phillip Securities, and in this video we're diving into the three Singapore local banks, right? DBS, UOB and OCBC. Will dive to the charts to see where we are right now, what are some of the levels that you want to take note of, are there more upside, or if there are, but where you want to be careful, because that's where selling can come back again just by looking at past historical data. And also we'll dive into the system that I have, right? I call this system One Good Trend, in short 1GT, whereby we had a couple of bullish and even bearish signals that have came out over the past few months. So let's see what it says on my system, alright, if there are any bullish signals or bearish signals, and what it could actually lead us to do or position ourselves to do, alright, to ride the upside, or maybe just to get out first and wait for it to retrace back down, right? So if you're looking at these three banks, looking to buy, looking to get in, maybe you have bought previously, you want to get out, I'm sure this video will help you. Make sure you watch this video all the way to the end. So let's dive into the first bank, and that would be DBS right now. So guys, make sure you give me a like as well and smash the subscribe button. That would definitely help out the channel, and thank you so much for doing this, right? So let's dive into the first bank, and that would be DBS right here, trading at about $33.41, as you can see right here. So I kind of drawn the horizontal key levels that you want to take note of, and let me just explain to you, right? So you can see that this is the resistance right here, about the $34, alright. And why would that be a resistance? You can see that we were actually holding above. It was like a support somewhere in January, February. We broke down and we kind of sold off and went down, alright. So that's kind of like a support, which has now turned to like a resistance level. You can see a couple of support here as it stayed above, and it was like a resistance. When we broke down, you can see we attempted to actually go back up above 34, but it didn't happen, right? In somewhere around April, and then we went all the way back down, all right. And somewhere around here, just about last month, we actually attempted or kind of neared this 34, but we came back down again. So yeah, right now you can see we are kind of approaching the same 34 level again. You can see we're kind of approaching this 34 level. So I think anything near that 34, like 33.8 something, 33.90 something or something like that, that is where we might potentially see some selling pressure coming back. In fact, I think over the past week, the high is about 33.72. So yeah, maybe anything about from 33.70 and above to 34, that's where some selling pressure can actually come back again based on what we have seen over the past few months, right? So what about the support level? So I've drawn this support level. Look at this right here. This is a green support level that I've drawn. You can see it has been holding quite well over the past 1 month plus above that 32 level. So I talked about this 32 quite a bit, right? In fact, we were actually consolidating below. Okay, let me just draw it for you. You can see right here, we were actually consolidating below 32. It was like a support, and right here when we broke up again, you can see that this support kind of turned to be what we call a resistance. So resistance turns support, and so far we have been holding above this new 32 support over the past 1 month plus. So that is kind of the range for DBS is quite clearly from 32. Let me just draw it for you. So actually there were some upside targets that were drawn to be near 32, whereby there could be a potential rebound back up all the way up to 34. So let me just draw it again right now, alright, to about 34. Right here, so that is kind of the range, the $2 range, right? 32 to 34. So it kind of nears that 32 again, 32.20, 32.30, 32.10 cents or something like that. That's where you can potentially position yourself to catch the rebounds, 5 to 6% upside. Right over here, as that's the kind of the near-term support level. And also you can see that this is where the moving averages. Let me just remove this, but you can see that this is also where the 100 days moving average line is as well. It's the red line. You can see it's kind of sloping down as the market sold off, but right now it's starting to flatten out as well, right? And prices above it, so there are some signs of the trend starting to turn up, especially if we stay above $32, right? Of course, if we break below 32, that's not so good. We might head down again, like what we did somewhere in June, July when the market sold off, but anything above 32, I think it looks quite good in terms of the short term. That could potentially be more upside as it consolidates. and eventually I think it may even attempt, all right, to break this $32 level. $34 level. If you break the 34, then it's the upside maybe to like 36, and then 37, 50. That could become like the next upside, but I'll not draw that first. I think right now 34 would become like the major resistance level that you want to take note of, right? So yeah, think about me taking some profit, locking in some profit, because as I say, that's where we are seeing selling right now, and that's where over the past week it went there and then sellers came back and pushed it back down. So think about taking some profit, lock in some profit, maybe wait for retracement to get in again, or you can also wait for a very clear move, a bullish move above 34 to start timing a more aggressive entry to ride the upside even further. Alright, so that's DBS. Let's take a look at what it says on my 1GT system, whereby we had a couple of signals. Let's see what it says right now. Alright, so DBS here on my 1GT, one good trend system, whereby it kind of like guides us on entry and exit, kind of alerts us to counters like this as well, right? So this is DBS. Since last year, 2021, it was a really good bullish move. Of course, you can see that the trend bar is green in color. That's bullish, alright? We had a couple of a good bullish signal as it went up from like about 29 to 31, and then we got bearish signal, came back down, and then we got this really good move. Look at this right here. It's a bullish signal. 1st December 2021, started to shoot all the way up to from like what, about $30 to 35, got an exit and went all the way up, and that's where the market started to weaken, right? Because there are talks about rate hikes and all that stuff about inflation, right? So that's where the market started to weaken. You see we got a couple of a bearish, right? Red arrows down, went up a little bit, and then we got bearish signals coming out as the trend started to turn down. See a couple of bearish signals went down, another bearish signal went down, and of course the bar has turned from like green to red in color, right? This shows a little bit weak, all right? That's where we're seeing a bit of a downtrend. All right, but let's just zoom into where we are over the past like maybe few months since like July. All right, even though the bar is red in color, you can see right here 20th of July. That's where we had finally a really good bullish candle, a bullish signal, green arrow pointing up. Look at this right here, and you can see it started to push up from about like $30.50 all the way up to maybe about $32.50, and then we've got exit, right? So this is where we are right now, right? And obviously, right, the bar, this trend bar is turned from red to green in color, and we still have a couple of bullish signals still playing out, right? So it looks quite okay. I mean, compared to like a red bar previously, like maybe 4 or 5 months ago, now it's like a bit of a green bar, and there are more bullish signals, right? So it looks quite okay. But as I mentioned, right, that 34 would be still a really key resistance level we want to break. I think if we can break that level, I think that's where this bullish signal might start to play out, start to push higher to 35, 36 and all that. But if not, we might just be consolidating in this range still from 32 to 34, where I mentioned that's the $2 range that I talked about. But at least we're still quite okay. At least the trend seems to be turning up. It's kind of like finding some stability as we consolidate in an uptrend. All right, so this is DBS on my 1GT system. Okay, second bank would be UOB, right? And guys, if you like this video, I appreciate if you can give me an early thumbs up or smash the subscribe button. That will really help out the channel, and thank you so much for doing that, right? So let's dive into UOB right here, trading at about $27.11. So what do you guys think? I mean, does it look a little bit more bearish or more bullish compared to DBS? Alright, I would say that it looks a little bit more bearish, right, compared to DBS. Firstly, look at the moving averages in terms of the 100 days, the red line. I mean, for DBS, you can see it's starting to flat out and prices have gone above it. But in this case, for UOB, unfortunately, alright, this red line is still pointing down, alright, and prices is below this red and even the blue line. So mid to long term trend, it still looks a little bit weaker, a bit more of a downtrend. And another thing to note would be this key resistance level. Look at this red line that I draw. That's what we call the resistance level. You can see, let me draw it for you. It's very clear. You can see this was originally the resistance, and we touched, we came back down. And of course, when we broke this resistance somewhere around January, right, beginning of the year, you can see the rally really started all the way up, and you can see we came back down again, and we near this level again, the same 28, which obviously now became the support. So resistance turned support, and we rebounded back up again, and we came back down again, and then you see rebounded again, went back up, but we can see that we formed what we call lower highs, and eventually we broke down here. Look at this, we broke down to 28 and started to see more weakness. So this 28 is quite key, right? A couple of times we touched it as a resistance, as a support level, and in fact just recently, right, this July, just about 2 months back, we actually attempted, look at this right here, we actually attempted to break above that 28 level, right? But we went up for like 1 day only, and then sellers came back and pushed it back below it again, so it didn't really count, and then that's where I started to see weakness. So right now, you can see that we are kind of like approaching this $28 level again, right? And right now you can see that this is also where the 100 days moving average line is. It's kind of like a mid to long term moving average, and obviously it's still pointing down. So Anything below 28, I would say, unfortunately, a little bit bearish, right? I'm not saying that you will hit all the way down or what, but just a little bit more bearish. I'm just a bit more positive or more bullish if we can get past that 28. That is key, right? Hopefully we can get past 28. I think that's where more upside can happen. The targets could be drawn maybe all the way up from 28 to that 30. About $2 upside if we can actually go above that 28. But right now, unfortunately, we're still below 28. It's like what, 27.09. So that would be the range right now. I think it's a bit of a lower range, right? It's around that 26 to 28. That is kind of like the range, because over the past like 2-3 months, we have consolidated. You can see, as I said, when we broke the 28, we swing down, we swing up, swing down, we neared 26, we rebounded back up, and now I think we are pretty much in this range, right? Of course, as I say, if we break 28 right here, really good bullish candle, that is where we could see more strength coming back. That's where the trend might start to turn up, the moving averages might start to turn up, and that could all point to a bit more upside. Alright, so just take note of this level, 28 would be really key resistance for more upside to happen in the near term for UOB. Okay, quick one, UOB on my 1GT system right here. So same thing, I think in like December, November 2021, really good bullish signal. This was like 9 December, we've got this green arrow up. It's a really good bullish signal. It went up from like 25 to about 28, and then we got another bullish signal. It went up to like about 32, and that's where the market started to turn down like DBS. A couple of new bearish signals started to come back. Alright, so we've got an exit, went down. Alright, and you see that went up a little bit more. But that's where a couple of exits and like new bearish signals started to come back out, you know, like in April, May. Look at this right here. This is a bearish signal. You can see the bar started to turn from green to red in color. All right, so a bearish signal, that was like 29. So it kind of like guides us on to get out as well. I mean, if you're seeing a bearish signal and you want to buy, then you want to be careful, because that's where we could actually see more weakness if certain support levels were to be broken. Alright, so I think right here, I think we broke that 28. As I mentioned, we went all the way down. Alright, went down, 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 a couple of bearish signal, and we should see some stability with a new bullish signal coming up right here. So as we got this bullish signal in July, I think the market started to rebound, and we got this exit. But overall, right now, as I say, you can see that this bar, this trend bar, is still red in color. I mean, for like DBS, it's turned from red to green. So as I say, it looks a little bit more bullish, a bit better, but for UOB it's still red in color, so the trend is still a little bit down, right? But if we do get past that 28, as I mentioned, then yeah, I mean this bar might turn to green in color. We might see a few more new bullish signals coming back out. Then that's where we can turn a little bit more bullish. But right now, unfortunately, we're still below 28. The trend still looks a little bit weaker, down for now. So let's see how it plays out over the next few weeks. All right, so this is UOB here on my 1GT system. Right, let's dive into the third bank, and that would be OCBC. All right, trading at about $12.31, right? So I would say that OCBC, in terms of the trend, it's not like down, it's not up as well. It's a little bit more sideways. In fact, it's one of the little bit more defensive banks for now. You can see it went down, it went up, but overall, over the longer term, over the past like 1-2 years, you can see that we have been pretty much in this like consolidation phase from about $11 all the way up to maybe about $13 or $12.50. Look at this, right? It's just moving down, up in this range, and also from the moving averages in terms of the red and the blue line. Look at this. The blue line is the 200 days moving average. The red line is the 100 days moving average. And you can see both of them right now. I mean, for like DBS, it's like flattening out. All right, it went down and flattening out. For UOB, it's pointing down, like that's just not showing you guys. But for OCBC, you can see both of these two lines are what they're not really pointing up or pointing down. They are like just sideways. Does it make sense? It's just moving sideways. This shows that it is kind of like consolidating sideways, which is what is happening over the past like 1-2 years. In the longer term, of course, the short term it did go up and down, but in the longer term, it's pretty much just sideways, just by looking at the longer term moving averages. In this case, the 100 days red line and the 200 days moving average blue line. All right, so let's dive a little bit into the short term to see what is some of the key levels to take note of. Right, so I would say that this is a very key resistance level. I think I talked about it a few times as well in some of my live calls on Facebook. All right, and okay, let me just draw it for you. I think that would be the $12.50 level. Look at this. I mean, since like 2021, a couple of touches here, so-called resistance level 1, 2, 3 went down. All right, and of course somewhere around here in the beginning of the year, we broke this 12.50. It went up all the way to like 13.50 and came back down. You can see we broke back down, and then now we are pretty much below it. And since we got below it, it became the resistance, and it is still pretty much the resistance right now, because you can see we went back up, attempted to near it and break it somewhere in March. It didn't happen. Went down, went back up, didn't happen, go back down again. Even just recently, I think this was in August, right, just about last month, neared it, sellers came back and pushed it back down. So right now you can see we are kind of like nearing it again, and it seems like sellers are starting to come back out again, all right, near that $12.50 level. But it's not that, you know, all that bad or what. I mean, just that's where, you know, some selling or some profit taking can come back. So if you kind of like got in on dips, maybe near that 11.50 or 12, yeah, I mean 12.50 could be a level that you want to think about just locking in some profits, put the money in your pocket, all right, and maybe wait for retracements to kind of like, you know, get back in again, all right, because right now, as I say, that is where potentially we might see some heavy selling. So let me just draw it for you. That would be a very clear right over here, right? So that would be a very, really clear what we call a selling zone, all right? So let me just put it in red in color. You can see a couple of touches, 1, 2, 3, 4. So as we near that level, selling can actually come back again, right? Anything from like 12.30, 12.40, and in fact I think today the high was what, about 12.40, right? So 12.40, you know, sellers came back and pushed back down. Now it's like 12.30. So anything like 12.40 something, 35, 45, 42 or whatever, yeah, that's where selling can come back again, which is normal, right? So think about maybe just getting out first, all right? But having said that, as I say, right, this 12.50 is a resistance level, all right? Now there are a lot of sellers that stack there, you can check it out. But if we do break that 12.50, which we have not done so since like you know, February, all right, so it's like 6-7 months. But if we do break that 12.50, then good thing, then we might be back to where we were in January. You can see when we broke that 12.50, we went all the way up. So that could happen right here, as we shot up from like 12.50 to 12.50. Yeah, so that's potentially the upside. If we break the 12.50 firmly, some really good bullish price actions, upside could be from 13 to 13.50. That is pretty much what can happen. But right now, that has not happened yet, so let's not second guess it. If it happens, it happens. If not, then we are still below it, unfortunately. So that's where selling can come back again, and the range for now will be right here, about $12 to $12.50. So $12 seems to be a really good support level, and you can see this is also where the longer term moving averages are as well. And over the past like 1 month plus, we are still holding above the $12, maybe about $11.90 to $12. There's a bit of leeway. I think that is pretty much the support level for now in the short term as we consolidate. All right, so here is OCBC on the charts right now, trading about $12.30. Okay, quick one. OCBC on my 1GT system, very fast. I would say that, yeah, same thing, got a bullish signal somewhere in the beginning of the year. Really strong move from 11 to 11.70, and then we went up a little bit more to like 12.80, and then we got some bearish signals coming back and started to sell down as it consolidated, as I mentioned, right? It's pretty much consolidating sideways. So let's just dive into where we are recently. I think this is where we are. It was like pretty much a downtrend. Bar is red in color in like June, July, but it started to turn to like green in color. As I said, there's some signs of the trend turning up, right? So we've got this bullish signal on the 28th of July, you can see, and then started to push up. We got exit, and right now you can see that the trend bar is green in color, looks quite okay, all right, and we got this recent bullish signal right here that came out, started to push up a little bit, but as I mentioned, you know, we are still kept below that 12.50, right? So yeah, if we can break the 12.50, as I say, right, we just clear out the entire sellers at 12.50, 12.55, 12.52, it just pushes up, then I would say this bullish signal would really start to play out. I think that's where we might start to, you know, see it push up maybe to 13 or 13.50, as I mentioned just now. Then we might see an exit as it consolidates again. But right now, that is still the immediate resistance, the $12.50, right? So yeah, so let's just see, right? So maybe an exit signal can come out, maybe it might retrace back down again. That's where you can start maybe positioning yourselves to get in near that $12 to like 11.90 support that I talk about. All right, here's OCBC on my 1GT system. Alright guys, so there we have it. We have pretty much covered the 3 Singapore local banks, DBS, UOB, and even OCBC, right? So I kind of like dive into the charts. I hope you have a clearer understanding of where we are right now over the past few weeks, what has happened in terms of new data coming out, inflation numbers and all that, what has happened, and what are some of the levels whereby we can seriously see some profit taking coming back. That's where you can also think about like locking in some profits or getting out, right? So I hope that video helps you, alright, and you have a clearer understanding, and I hope that, yeah, I mean, if you want to find out a little bit more in terms of the system that I have, in terms of the framework, the whole entire strategy behind, you can probably attend one of those web classes that we're still running, alright, but I'll put the link below, or you can probably join my private Telegram community, alright, where you get some of my ideas, you get reminded to attend some of those webinars, some new trainings as well, alright, and that's where you can join this private Telegram community whereby we share some of those ideas and videos much faster, right? So I'll just place the link below, click on it, join this private Telegram community, alright, be in my email list, and that's where you will be alerted to any new videos like this, and I look forward to share with you more in some of those trainings. Joey here, thank you so much for watching, take care.